You're thinking about getting a Doberman, but here's the question that's keeping you up at night. Should you get a male or a female? And here's what most people get wrong. They assume the differences are minor, or they pick based on random advice from someone who's never actually lived with both. But the truth, the gender you choose will dramatically affect your daily life, your training experience, and even your vet bills. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what those differences are. By the end of this video, you'll know the 10 critical differences between male and female Dobermans. We're covering everything from size and temperament to health issues and territorial behavior. No fluff, just the facts you actually need to make the right choice for your lifestyle. So stick around, because difference number 7 might completely change which gender you've been leaning toward. Here's a quick notice before we continue. We would love to inform you that we just started a second channel where we share interesting, heartwarming, and relatable dog stories that you'll love. So click the first link in the description to check out the channel. Let's get started. Difference 1. Size and physical presence. Let's start with the most obvious difference: size. Male Dobermans are significantly larger than females. We're talking about males standing 26 to 28 inches tall at the shoulder and weighing between 75 to 100 pounds. Females, on the other hand, stand 24 to 26 inches tall and weigh between 60 to 90 pounds. Now, you might think, what's a few inches and 10 pounds? But here's what this actually means for you. A male Doberman has a much more imposing presence. When he stands next to you, people notice. There's an intimidation factor that's hard to ignore, which can be a pro or a con depending on what you want. Females are sleeker, more elegant, and while they're still athletic and powerful, they're easier to physically manage, especially if you're not a large person yourself. If you live in an apartment or have a smaller vehicle, that size difference matters. If you want maximum presence and deterrent factor, the male wins. But if you want power in a more manageable package, the female might be your answer. Difference 2. Maturity rate. Here's something that surprises most first-time Doberman owners. Females mature significantly faster than males. Female Dobermans typically reach mental maturity around 2 to 2.5 years old. Males, they can take 3 to 4 years to fully mature. That means you're dealing with a goofy, high-energy, sometimes destructive teenage phase for much longer with a male. And here's what that looks like in real life. Your female Doberman will start settling into training and routines faster. She'll be more focused during training sessions earlier on. She's still a handful as a puppy, don't get me wrong, but she grows out of it quicker. Your male Doberman? He's going to test your patience. He'll be clumsy, overly excited, and easily distracted for years. You'll think you've got him trained, and then he'll regress because his brain is still developing. If you want a dog that mellows out faster and becomes reliable sooner, go female. If you don't mind an extended puppyhood and have the patience for it, a male can work for you. Difference 3. Affection and bonding style. Let's talk about something that's going to affect your daily relationship with your Doberman: how they show affection. Male Dobermans are often described as more openly affectionate and clingy. They want to be with you constantly. They'll follow you from room to room, lean against your legs, and demand your attention. They're the definition of a Velcro dog. Female Dobermans are affectionate too, but they're more independent. They love you deeply, but they don't need to be in your lap every second. They're content being in the same room while doing their own thing. Here's how this plays out. If you work from home and want a constant companion who's always by your side, a male Doberman will give you that in spades. He'll be your shadow, for better or worse. If you want a dog that's loving but gives you space, a female fits that bill. She'll cuddle when you invite her, but she won't be hurt if you need some alone time. Neither is better. It's about your lifestyle. Do you want constant companionship or a more balanced relationship? That's your call. Difference 4. Trainability and focus. Now let's get into something critical for Doberman owners: training. Female Dobermans are generally easier to train, especially in the early years. They mature faster, as we discussed, but they're also more focused and less easily distracted. When you're working on commands, a female is typically more attentive and eager to please. Males can be just as intelligent, but they're more easily distracted, especially by other dogs, interesting smells, or literally anything that moves. Their attention span in the early years can be frustrating. But here's the interesting part. Once a male Doberman matures and is properly trained, he can be extremely obedient and reliable. They just take longer to get there. Females can also be more stubborn and independent-minded. They'll test boundaries in subtle ways, whereas males are more straightforward, even if they're goofier about it. Bottom line, if you're a first-time Doberman owner or want faster training results, a female might save you some headaches. If you're experienced and don't mind the extra time investment, a male will eventually get there. Difference 5. Territorial behavior. Here's a big one that affects how your Doberman interacts with your home and property. Male Dobermans tend to be more territorial, especially toward other male dogs and strangers approaching your property. They take their guard dog role seriously and can be more aggressive in protecting their space. Females are protective too, don't misunderstand, but they're generally more discerning. They assess threats rather than automatically reacting. They're alert and will bark, but they're less likely to escalate unnecessarily. Here's what this means for you. If you have a lot of foot traffic near your home, or if your neighbors have male dogs, a male Doberman might be constantly on edge, barking and patrolling. That can be exhausting for both of you. A female will still protect you, but she's less likely to treat every passerby as a potential threat. She saves her energy for real concerns. If you want a hardcore guard dog with maximum intimidation, a male delivers. If you want protection with better judgment and less reactivity, a female is the smarter choice. Difference 6. Same-sex aggression. Let's talk about something crucial if you already have a dog or plan to get multiple dogs. Male Dobermans can have serious issues with same-sex aggression, especially with other male dogs. This doesn't mean every male Doberman will fight, but the risk is significantly higher. They can be possessive over territory, toys, and even your attention. Female Dobermans can also have same-sex aggression issues, but it's typically less common and less intense. They can coexist with other females more easily, though personality still matters. Here's the practical takeaway. If you already have a male dog at home, getting a female Doberman is usually the safer bet. If you have a female dog, getting a male Doberman typically works better. 2 males or 2 females can work, but it requires careful management, training, and sometimes it just doesn't work at all. Don't ignore this difference. Same-sex aggression can turn your home into a stressful battleground, and rehoming a dog because of fighting is heartbreaking. Difference 7. Health issues and lifespan. This is the difference that might surprise you most, and it's one you can't ignore. Female Dobermans, when left unspayed, face significant health risks. The biggest one is pyometra, a life-threatening uterine infection. They're also at risk for mammary tumors, which can be cancerous. Spaying eliminates or drastically reduces these risks, but it comes with its own considerations. Male Dobermans, when left intact, are at risk for testicular cancer and prostate issues, though these are generally less common than the female-specific issues. Neutering reduces these risks, but can also affect growth and certain health markers. But here's the kicker. Overall, there's no significant lifespan difference between males and females when both are spayed or neutered. Dobermans typically live 10 to 12 years regardless of gender. What you need to think about is the cost and commitment of spaying versus neutering. Spaying is a more invasive surgery with a longer recovery time. Neutering is simpler and cheaper. Also, if you choose not to spay or neuter, you're dealing with heat cycles for females, which is messy and requires management every 6 months, or intact male behavior like marking and roaming. Talk to your vet about the best timing for spaying or neutering your Doberman because it affects their health, behavior, and your wallet. Difference 8. Energy levels. Dobermans are high-energy dogs across the board, but there are differences. Male Dobermans tend to have slightly higher energy levels and require more physical exercise, especially in their younger years. They're more rambunctious, more playful for longer periods, and they need outlets for that energy, or they'll find destructive ways to burn it off. Female Dobermans are still energetic, but they're often more content with moderate exercise once they mature. They'll play hard, but they're also more likely to settle down after a good walk or play session. Here's how this impacts your life. If you're an active person who runs, hikes, or does dog sports, a male Doberman will match your energy and then some. He'll push you to stay active. If you want a dog that's athletic but doesn't require hours of exercise every single day, a female might be more manageable. She'll still need daily exercise, but she won't drive you crazy if you miss a day here and there. Difference 9. Heat cycles and intact behavior. If you're considering keeping your Doberman intact, you need to understand what you're signing up for. Female Dobermans go into heat approximately every 6 months, and each heat cycle lasts about 3 weeks. During this time, she'll bleed, attract male dogs from miles around, and you'll need to keep her away from intact males unless you're planning to breed. It's messy, it's inconvenient, and it means you can't take her to dog parks or many public places during that time. Intact male Dobermans, on the other hand, will become obsessed with finding females in heat. They'll mark territory inside your house, become more aggressive toward other males, and might try to escape to find a mate. Their focus during training can plummet if there's a female in heat anywhere nearby. The reality? Most Doberman owners choose to spay or neuter unless they're serious breeders. The behavioral and practical challenges of intact dogs are significant. If you do keep your dog intact, you need to be prepared for the responsibility, the management, and the potential behavior issues that come with it. Difference 10. Social behavior with strangers. Finally, let's talk about how male and female Dobermans interact with people outside your family. Male Dobermans, once they trust someone, can be extremely friendly and social, but they take longer to warm up to strangers. They're more suspicious, more protective, and they need proper socialization from a young age to prevent overprotectiveness. Female Dobermans tend to be more naturally social with strangers, though they're still cautious. They're quicker to assess that someone isn't a threat and move on. They're protective without being overbearing. Here's what this means if you have guests over regularly or if you take your dog to public places often. A male Doberman might make your guests uncomfortable with his intense staring and guarding behavior, even if he's perfectly trained. He'll tolerate strangers, but he won't necessarily welcome them. A female Doberman is more likely to greet your guests politely and then move on. She's protective, but not constantly on guard. If you entertain often or want a dog that's more socially adaptable, a female is typically the better choice. If you want a dog that's more aloof and protective around strangers, a male fits that role. So there you have it, 10 real differences between male and female Dobermans. Here's the truth. There's no wrong choice, only the wrong choice for your specific situation. If you want a larger, more protective, intensely loyal companion and you have the patience for a longer maturity period, a male Doberman could be perfect for you. If you want a more manageable size, faster maturity, and a dog that's protective but more socially balanced, a female Doberman might be your ideal match. Before you go, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we've got more breed-specific content coming your way. Drop a comment below and let me know, are you team male or team female Doberman and why? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.